Oh my gosh. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the post-episode issues recaps. I'm Phil, the issues guy, the host from issuesprogram.com. If this is your first time visiting us, please hit that subscribe button. And also, please join us for all our other post-episode recaps that we have. We did some recaps on Breaking Bad. We did some recaps on this past season of The Walking Dead. And also this season currently of Game of Thrones. So we're all over all of that. But today we're talking about something a little bit more, a little different, a little bit more heart racing. We're going to talk about 24, Live Another Day, Day 9, hours 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., or episode 3 if you're counting that way, depending on how you count the 24.
Hour number 3.
Hour number 3 of season 9 of 24, where there's a 12-hour season. And this episode melted a little bit back into more the 24 format, and I mean, last week did that as well, but this week really... we got a lot of 24 tropes going on this week, and a lot of stuff that we've never even seen on 24 as well, too. We had a little moving emotional scene between Jack and Chloe that I'm not sure that had any place in my 24. I don't know, when they were in the car and they were hugging and stuff like that, it was a little too emotional for my love of 24. I don't want Jack Bauer to care about people. Last week...
as a non-watcher, I have no idea who those two are that she's talking about. It's from previous seasons that I haven't seen, so it was a waste of like 30 seconds for me.
And I gotta say, you're treading on an interesting point. This 24 Live Another Day. How many of the audience of 24 Live Another Day do you think are people that watched 24 before, and how many people you think are new people getting into it? I'd say probably like maybe 60% of the people watching it are old fans of 24.
Maybe 80-20.
But still, that leaves 30%. That leaves 30% of the audience that might, in certain situations, have no clue what the hell's going on.
Right.
It just seems unfair to a big percentage of the population. It's kind of like on that show The Voice. I know you don't know much about The Voice, Joe, but at the end of The Voice, when there's 2 contestants left to be eliminated, they let America vote right on the spot to see who's going to be eliminated. But that only, if you really think about it, they only do it on the East Coast feed, so half of the country gets screwed. Just like here, where
they don't do an early broadcast, like it may be 8 o'clock here, but they start the show at 6 there.
No, they don't. But
5.
To do that, if you're a West Coaster or other time zoner, I believe, or even if you're an East Coaster and you want to watch something on a different time zone, or no, I guess we set the standard over here. But you need to pay for the channel. You know how on your cable channels they'll have Fox East, Fox West, or something like that. You need to subscribe specifically for that channel to get the East Coast broadcast. I do know some people on the West Coast that have East Coast broadcast stuff because they say they want to watch it when everybody watches it. So, like, say the Oscars or the Academy Awards, they'll watch it right at the actual time. But something like The Voice,
go online and see all the spoilers while they're waiting for the show.
Exactly. But this episode of 24, those people that Chloe was sad about, we'll get into it when we get to that point, but just to give you a little background, that was her husband and her son she was talking about. And 24, it seemed almost comical. I can't lie. I mean, I'll get to that scene with Chloe, but it almost seemed like what's the Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger when he's like, my second cousin's first roommate got killed by a random truck explosion down on the street, and you're gonna pay. You know, it seemed like she was telling that kind of story, like yeah. They were in a dark alley, and then a car drove down, and they disappeared because I knew you, Jack, because I knew you. It was just... Well, look at this. Is why I have this eye makeup and this horrible haircut. This is why I'm doing it. Now
they do such a great job making her look ugly as sin.
I agree.
They do it in Philadelphia too. Gail the Snail. They make her, and in Mr. Show, I think she just always looks so horrible in the roles that she plays, like physically, but when you see pictures of her on the red carpet or out from paparazzi and stuff, she's actually a very attractive woman. She's really good looking.
She is, and she really plays up the Chloe-ness. I think it's important to recognize that as important as Jack Bauer is to 24 and how he's been the residing force of 24 from beginning to end, and he's just, even to the point where I'm stealing a couple of ideas from other people's podcasts, but it's very true, that when Jack Bauer, even when he goes under disguise, undercover, he still just looks like Jack Bauer. Kiefer Sutherland is so synonymous with 24 and the Jack Bauer character. It makes you wonder But Chloe's just as important. Chloe became just as important as a part of the real co-star. Little side note, Joe. Do you know that, and this might have something to do with the name, we were talking about Die Hard last week, that it was very, very close there was going to be a crossover movie with Jack Bauer and John McClane. One of the Die Hard movies that came out a couple of years ago, one of the shittiest ones, was originally supposed to be a Jack Bauer.
The one in Russia where he's got his kid in Russia?
I think so. I think that's the one.
Maybe was supposed to be Jack Bauer in Russia or something?
Yeah, maybe. But both of them. It was supposed to be both of them, like a crossover movie, like a Freddy versus Jason.
I would have rather seen that than the last two Die Hard movies, and so far maybe the first two episodes of this season.
They should, because of how damn cool it would have been. I have to say though that the Die Hard movies, they really should have. Could you turn me down just a little bit? Die Hard movies, we need to. I think they should have completely stopped after 3. I think the only 2 Die Hard movies that count are the first one. That's better. The first one and the second one, and the third one. Because I personally actually like the third one better than the second one.
So the first one is the building, the second one is the airport, and the third one is
Sam Jackson.
Oh yeah, New York City.
Sam Jackson, yeah.
I forget that. He's wearing the billboard sign, walking around the ghetto like, I hate black people.
yeah, exactly. He said it with the ghetto side.
And not as PC as the way I said it either.
Yeah, exactly. That was a great movie. Great movie. Sam Jackson's amazing in it. One of seeing Sam Jackson and Bruce Willis act together, having seen them interact subtly in Pulp Fiction and other types of situations with them walking by. To me, that's what makes Die Hard 3 the best. And it has a little bit more of a personal connection to the first movie because you're dealing with the character from the first movie's brother. Where the second movie you have like Death from Bill and Ted's as the villain, and it seems like, and also what's his name from Good Times, the dad from Good Times is there too. And I guess I just think that Die Hard 2 is a little bit too much of trying to recapture what the first movie did. But why am I talking about Die Hard? Because it's important to Jack Bauer. Jack Bauer, in some ways, you could say, is where Joe and I's generation, John McClane was probably one of the coolest, unstoppable superhero action stars.
He was the everyday man. He was the first action hero that wasn't
in the first movie
from head to toe.
In the first movie, he became a little bit different. He became that Bruce Willis caricature character.
That is aside from James Bond, by the way.
Right. But pretty soon after Die Hard came out, you just started to see tons of movies with Bruce Willis playing that character. You know, Fifth Element, even there's a few other ones where he's playing the unstoppable Last Boy Scouts, another one where
Bruce Willis opened the door for basically Tom Cruise has been doing movies for a long time and he's a great actor and all this stuff, but because Bruce Willis was such a success with his everyday man look at the action hero, small little boys like Tom Cruise, who's only 5'5" and stuff, or however tall he is, was able to step in that role and make blockbuster billions of dollars a movie. He changed the way Hollywood does action.
Exactly. Instead of it having to be someone like Steven Seagal or Jean-Claude Van Damme, who are actual martial art people, or Jet Li or Jackie Chan, or Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sly Stallone, guys that are jacked up on roids. Instead of it being one of those kind of guys, it can be a guy like Kiefer Sutherland. It can be even a guy like Jason Statham, who's not quite as imposing.
He's gotten bigger over the years too, Jason.
But when he first, like in the first Transporter movie, he doesn't look that huge.
Right. He's not.
Or Matt Damon in the Bourne movies or whatever. It became someone else, like the atypical action hero star changed, and that's what led us to Jack Bauer. And in a lot of ways, Jack Bauer is the 2000s greatest cool superhero star. Even if you're not into 24, you know who Jack Bauer is. You know, tell me what you know. And you just you know what I mean? You know torturing Jack Bauer. He's the poster boy for torture. And
we gotta get into the show, because now that we're on Jack Bauer in that point, when you just did that, you triggered some things in my head that I gotta get
I wanted to get the pre-hype excitement out of the way of where we are in 24, because last week's episode we were getting caught up and it was a lot of what if, but I feel like 24 does have some cultural significance, and specifically I feel like they broke out of the norm one time specifically tonight, and that was in that Chloe and Jack scene, where I feel like they got a little out of the format of it just being an action hero with this unstoppable force of goodness or force of right, Jack Bauer. So let's get into it. We start off our episode, and Jack and Chloe are running after our couple from last week, Yates and Sansa Stark. And Jack goes into a pub, and he's looking for them, and he he finds his way into the bathroom where he finds the body of Yates. He calls up Chloe and he says, a pro did this. It was either the double cross by the girl, but the device is gone, and there's no sign of her leaving the pub. Eventually, Jack gets outside and he finds a wig, and he says, she has a new ID. Chloe, get on it. Find her. Use it. Use your super magic powers to find her. And she does all her magic magic data Geordie computer magic and finds her through the Interpol website on a train. So heading to some place called Waterloo. I don't think it's the same water. Is it the same Waterloo?
It's the same Waterloo.
Same Waterloo. Heading to Waterloo. So we cut
If she's headed to Waterloo, I think it's the same Waterloo.
Okay,
I'm not positive, but it probably.
Whoa, cats are knocking everything down. It's the same Waterloo. They apparently got excited. The cats in the other room got excited to go ride the water slides at Waterloo with Napoleon from Bill and Ted's 2. And that's where she's heading as well, to ride the water slides, because that's all I know of the word Waterloo. It has to mean water.
Napoleon and water slides.
Napoleon and water slides. That's all I know.
That's pretty much all you need to know. There was a big battle with Napoleon at Waterloo.
Right. It was his big loss, similar to as Hitler was marching into Russia and getting pushed back. That was Napoleon's big mistake.
Or General Lee or Colonel Mustard.
With the candlestick in the in the conservatory. No, but it's true. That's true that most great generals or great leaders or really screwed in the head dictators, they have one big defeat in history that completely, like, they did everything right, but that one thing that they screwed up, and Waterloo was Napoleon's screw up. So back to 24. We go to Kate, and Kate's interrogating her bodyguards, or the bodyguards that were watching Yates, and she's kind of pushing on one of them specifically, one of the main underlings, and kind of poking him in the head, being like, putting him in a no-win position, kind of Jack Bauering him. And the guy Basher goes, fine, I'm the leader, I'm talk. That guy's not allowed to talk. I'll kill him before he'll talk. So Navarro, our dumbass leader of CIA, calls up Ritter, our supposed asshole agent, and goes, hey, we heard reports of U.S. guys shooting in the area. You guys need to get out of this, leave, or you're going to be to blame. Kate's going to be out of a job, and Morgan's going to be out of a job in a week. If anything bad happens, it's on you, sir. And it was kind of a switch in roles, because it turns Ritter walks over, and Ritter's like, wait a second, she's doing good. She found Bauer. She needs to interrogate these guys. We're on to something. He's like, no, get the hell out of there. So Ritter walks over and does his little asshole head of field ops thing where he sends all the bad guys away. But Kate's not letting all the bad guys going away, because Basher makes a little comment to her like, "Heh, not your lucky day." She goes, "Wait, maybe not your lucky day." And she punches him in the freaking head and drags him and puts him in the back of the truck and goes, "Let's get the hell out of here."
And that's like you said at the beginning, that is very Jack Bauerish, and it harkens back to what Eric said in the first episode about we were trained by learning all of your ex-old missions, the ones that went right and the ones that went wrong. So she's doing exactly what she was trained and learned to do, which is what Jack Bauer used to do.
And I think it's really important, too, to mention that Ritter, right away, you get the feeling in this scene that we get a completion of this thought later when they're talking in the car, but right away in this scene, you can tell that Ritter understands that maybe he misjudged Kate. Like, right away he's watching her deal, because he knows, as you said, he said the same thing, so he knows all of that, and he can watch her and go, wow, you really are great at this. Look at you. And so he actually, instead of reporting her or calling the authorities, calling Navarro there, he actually helps her carry Basher and put Basher into the car, because he knows it's the right thing. He knows it's their only hope to find Jack Bauer.
And they even talk with each other at some point in the episode. I'm not sure if it's here or the next time we see them about her ex-husband, ex-boyfriend, or whatever.
Right. I mean, we can talk about that right now. She later in the episode, after she gets the information from Basher, because she leverages Basher. I'll just skip over this when we get to it in the episode, because you don't necessarily need to talk about things chronologically in 24. and if we do, we'll make sure to phrase it that way. But so she kind of interrogates Basher. Basher's like, I'm not going to talk. She goes, okay, you don't have to talk. And she drives him to the gangland of his opposing gang and opens the windows and starts just basically yelling out, hey, any gang members want to kill a guy named Basher? If you do, we can do it. They basically Bruce Willis's him from Die Hard with a Vengeance and goes, you want to get out of the car right here?
Right,
You know,
yeah.
you can just walk home. You can walk home. We're not going to mess with you. Great move by her.
That's also from a great moment on Closer, one of the season finales. They drop a guy off in the middle, like who had just ratted on his entire gang, and they drop him off right at his house in the middle of the gang. And just leave him. Bye.
Great moment, and Ritter just looks at her because Ritter falls right into the trap of it too, or not the trap. He goes, oh yeah, get out of the car. You know, he's like, oh, this is an awesome plan. This is great. He's so pumped. He's has such a shit-eating grin on his face watching her do this. And this guy Basher doesn't waste any time. He goes, okay, I'll tell you what you want. And
we don't have to waterboard him. We'll just throw him out in the wrong side of the ghetto.
Yeah, the English ghetto. And she ends up telling them the only name he knows, which is the name of our soldier. And I've got that written down somewhere. The name of our soldier from last week that was working the boards when the drone attack in Afghanistan killed his boss. Our future Jedi Knight there, that from Star Wars, and he admits to that, and that's when her and what's his name again? I'm blanking on his name. Her and Ritter have a conversation about how he's like, listen, Kate. I'm like really turned on by you right now. You are awesome. You are awesome. You're like the greatest cop ever, and a great CIA agent. Can I ask you a personal question? He just cuts through the crap because can I ask you a personal question? If you're this good of an agent, how the hell did you let your husband get one over you? How could you not know where your husband was? And she said, I've been asking myself that same question the whole time. It leads me to believe, just the way that scene was set up and the way they keep talking about her husband, I have a feeling that somewhere along the line we're going to find out her husband's involved in this conspiracy, and we need to see him at some point. She needs to go, like, interrogate her husband or something like that. I don't know. That's
yeah, there's too much. There's absolutely. Oh, I imagine that since they've already found out about her husband selling secrets, and they haven't mentioned whether or not he's been put in jail or captured or tried for treason. Right. Like that.
They just talk about
keep
her.
Mentioning, they don't say what happened to him. So I think you might be right about that. I think that we're going to see him come up in the future. He's going to be partly behind this somehow.
Yeah, we're going to see some sort of connection with this. Speaking of which, so Jack is after Sansa Stark. We're going back to the timeline here, and with Chloe's help, Jack is in the open, running through the streets. No one notices him. I mean, I guess no one really knows his face, but I just always think it's hilarious the way Jack, when he's being chased by other people or being a known felon, he just runs through the streets, no hat down on his face, no disguise, a master ninja, master agent, but just doesn't give a shit about disguise. He's just running through the streets, and she's smelling something. Sansa's smelling something, like enjoying the train. You get a feeling like what you know is happening later. She's excited to get back to her husband, and Bauer finds his way into the train, and Chloe tells him what car she's in, and he's about to get to her. We get classic 24 split screen fun. As he's about to get to her, she spots him out of the corner of his eye.
And this is where I'm a little he's acting all suspicious now, glancing at her and trying to get closer, rather than once he noticed her, walking straight up to her and putting a bullet in her head.
Yeah, or at least hitting her over the back, like sneaking up behind her and like knocking her out.
Right. And I can understand part of him wants to just follow her where she's going, but that leaves too much open. Take her out. Take the case.
Considering you're going after the case, considering it's an item you need to go, he was handling it a little bit with more care. He doesn't need her alive to tell the tale of the story. He needs the device. I'm not sure he was
going after the case, though. I think he just thought he was going after Yates.
Right. Okay. And that she killed Yates, so he needs to go after her. Fair enough. That makes a lot of sense. So she does something where I think she was impressing me too. I like this actress. I feel like they casted really well in 24 Live Another Day, and I feel like for 24 this is like some solid stuff going on.
And I gotta say though, the more she's on screen, especially the more she's on screen with Catelyn, the more she looks like Sansa.
Doesn't she? I was
Yeah.
totally thinking with the eyes. I'm like, they should. Why did
The
they
red
cast?
hair.
Yeah, they really dropped the ball not casting Sansa there, not casting the actress in the part. But she makes a really smart move here, I think. She pulls out the knife out of her pocket. She cuts her hand. She puts a little blood on her face, and as she steps out of the train, she yells and points at Jack.
He's hurting me.
He's hurting me. And I gotta say, the guys that saw all this, they didn't really try to stop Jack. They didn't really try to beat the crap out of him.
They just stepped up and he punched him in the throat, and that was
he
it.
just punched him and walked out. I mean, it's like, come on, Jack.
Now, for that being said, this was one of the moments that I was like, WTF, and I can't believe I just said that instead of just said, what the fuck. One of those moments where it takes him all of about 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds to take both those guys out, but
Yeah.
she ends up over 100 yards away from him in that 30 seconds.
There was a lot of time issues tonight. There was one moment later in the episode where she's supposedly having sex with her husband, and we see like a minute later he's lying in bed next to her. I guess it wasn't a long sexual.
No, that's about right? That's
I guess
about right.
he's been away for a long time. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe,
she's been off screwing Computer Boy for a couple of months.
so maybe he's excited by this. I don't know. Maybe he got too excited.
With Catelyn watching in the background.
I know, with Catelyn being the voyeur in the screen in the background. So basically, she gets away from Jack using this little ruse. So Jack gets on the phone to Chloe. Find her.
Gets away by sneaking through
A subway grate. It was
subway tunnel that's grated off. She sneaks by the worker that's working on the gate, and nobody notices her sneak in there. And Jack Bauer just kind of like goes right by the door, doesn't even notice.
It was. I mean, she slickly got out of there, but I think Jack was being a little blasé because he knew Chloe was outside, kind of blocking the exit.
Watching the close.
Go to Chloe, and this is where we get our little emotional moment. Chloe sees a couple come out, or sees a son and a father and a son come out, and she starts freaking out. She just kind of like has the deer in the headlights look, like PTSD, like just sort of like, whoa, what's going on here? So finally, Jack's like calling her on the phone. Do you see her? Do you see her? Do you see her? We see her out of the peripheral vision, just walking past the car as like Chloe's just like staring off into nothingness. Jack comes in the car at the end of all this and is like, where the hell are you? What the hell's going on? How the hell did you lose her? Gets all Jack Bauer in her face. Like, how the hell did you lose her, Chloe? And she mumbles that she thought she saw Horace and Prescott, and that Jack doesn't know.
And that's impossible.
That's impossible, right? That Jack doesn't know. Jack never knew, and knew what? And like all angry. And then she tells him that this story that we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, that it was kind of hard to follow because she was a little cryy, but basically she said something along the lines of her husband and her son were in a park late night or something like that, and
I didn't even listen because I didn't even care. They're dead. They're gone. You fucked up. You missed the girl, and now we got another 11 hours to go of chasing after these.
It was like two separate things like that. She fucked up there, and then when they had the self-destructing thing last week, where they had all the evidence, but the self-destructing thing blew up, and Jack does something I've never seen Jack do before in my life, especially with Chloe. He has an emotional, caring moment with her where he hugs her, and instead of chasing after the bad guy that just got away, he's sitting there hugging Chloe. That's not.
Nobody knows where the hell the bad guy went.
I don't care. Jack Bauer would be chasing after her, driving in circles, screaming, punching people.
Circles in Trafalgar Square.
He'd be torturing random people on the street, shooting random bystanders in the kneecaps like he does later in the episode. He would be doing anything he could. He would not be hugging Chloe. That's just so out of character for Jack Bauer. I'm sorry, it is. And he just wouldn't be that emotional. He'd give her a pat on the back and be like, rub some sand on it. You'll feel better. But no, he gives her that basic speech. He goes, I wrote it down here somewhere, but you can't bring back the ones that are gone, but you can fight to honor their memory. You can
fight for the people that aren't gone.
Right, fight, help me fight, save the world. Save the cheerleader, save the world. We need to get through this. We need to get through this situation. He gives her the GI Joe speech basically, and it honestly. Like, this goes to something Joe was saying earlier about, like the actress that plays Chloe is definitely an attractive woman. But even in this emotional scene where she's talking about her husband and her son dying or something, or disappearing, because I don't think she made it clear that she buried their bodies. I think she said disappeared, which again leads me to believe that maybe they'll show up at some point.
No, I'm pretty sure she said they were dead.
Okay, I'll watch it. I'll watch it again. But Dead on 24 isn't necessarily dead. Maybe someone kidnapped that. I don't know. I don't know. I have a weird feeling that there's some hinkiness going. There's so much hinkiness on 24 that I don't.
Witness protection program because of all
Something like
the
that.
crap that went down in season 8.
Like looking for Jack or something. Some shit's going on. But it was just hard for me to take her seriously. It's not so much the haircut, it's the eye makeup. The non.
Oh, yeah, the thick, like she gets up every morning and
puts that
a couple
up.
times a day has to put that shit around her eyes. Now I understand people do stuff to print themselves and look good and stuff, but I don't believe that helps her look.
No, she's
Or
feeling.
alternative or hot. It's just weird, and I can't believe she does it every day.
She's feeling so bad. I know exactly. Every single day, she's feeling so bad about her husband and her son dying that she's going to her WikiLeaks computer hacker job. But before she leaves every day, she has to make sure to draw these thick lines of non.
So everybody knows she's mourning.
Right. So everybody knows she's sad. Exactly. That's the main reason. So everybody makes sure we know Chloe's sad. Couldn't they have done the same?
Where do they go from there? They go right back to that hacker headquarters, right?
But yeah, that's where they're heading afterwards. But like seriously though, couldn't they have just made her disheveled? You know, looking like John Cusack and being John Malkovich or something. You know, they could have done something like that. They didn't need to make her all I don't know, goth style. Not that I have anything against the goth style. It just doesn't work with the character's nature.
Goth.
I mean, I like Winona Ryder and Beetlejuice. That's hot. I mean, I see where the mainstay is from, and I see where this foundation has built from, okay? Maybe goth comes before that.
Have you seen the Suicide Girls website?
Yes.
I love goth.
Yes, okay, it looks beautiful. You know, I've seen Girls of Gore with Girls of Ganja, which is some gore. I mean, all that stuff is beautiful when done right.
Girls with Ganja.
Yeah,
Dude.
all of that stuff's done really beautiful, and someone like Chloe actually probably could pull it off if they tweaked it a little bit, maybe made it a little subtle, but it's just
that they're trying to make her not pretty. They're trying to do their best Gil the Snail, or vice versa from Philly is trying to do their best Chloe. But
So-
yeah, nope, she's not supposed to be attractive, and that's why they're caking that black eye makeup on and making her go.
well, they always have her do that. That's Chloeisms, but yeah, same reason, because she's a computer nerd, so they need to make her unattractive. So Jack.
And there's that other super hot computer nerd in the group of computer hackers.
Yes, definitely. We meet her a little bit later.
Makes
So-
Chloe look even.
So Jack basically says to her, "Come on, you got to help me save the world." Pats her on her back and gives her a handkerchief and tells her to wash off the makeup. So we go to Tate, our not Tate, what's his name? Mark Bordeaux. Bordeaux is his name, and our chief of staff. And he wants to bring Bauer to the Russians. He's talking to his little underling, and he says that, and he checked out all the stuff. Bauer can get taken to the Russians and be gone forever, but he needs the president's approval. This is some serious shit. And Audrey kind of hears what's going on, but doesn't hear what's going on, and walks in and goes, "What are you guys talking about?" And Bordeaux's like, "Oh, I was just talking about," Mark says, "I was just talking about how your father shouldn't go through all this. Parliament's a big mess. You shouldn't deal with this." She gets really kind of pissed off at him and tells him that he was too hard on his father from last week. But I tend to, having watched the episode a couple more times, thinks that he maybe got a little carried away in the scene, but he was, like, at least last week, it seemed like he was doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, no, and I after rewatching, then watching this scene and seeing the reruns from last week, I decided, no, you were right. I think you mentioned it.
No,
this is
he's
still
not.
all just one day. He's only known about this attack for less than an hour. He doesn't know the guy's name. Give him some time to read the press briefing. I think you were absolutely right.
Exactly.
This guy's a dick.
But I think he's a dick, but I understand what he was doing in that particular scene. We find to the next level of dickery that basically he tries to manipulate Audrey into talking the president out of it because he knows that the president will only listen to her. And beyond that, for Bauer, to send Bauer into torture, he forges the president's signature with the obvious intention that if the president at any point has a problem with it, just to say, "Oh, he forgot." His mind's going.
I must have been out of the. I missed that. I didn't even see that. That's treason right there.
Right there, exactly. That was when I was like, he might have, I say this a lot, but he might as well have just started spinning the mustache right there. You know? And just
Was
his
he
act.
big of a dick in season 8?
He wasn't in season 8.
Oh, okay.
I
Huh.
believe this. I believe this guy's a first-time character. Maybe he was in a passing role earlier on, but I'm pretty sure
Then why
this
does he
is.
get such a hard on for? I figured he had some sort of history because him and his wife had history with Jack
I
Bauer,
think
so
it's.
he had some too.
I think that's where it is. I think that's his hard-on for Jack Bauer. It's that. It's that he knows everything that's gone on with. Oh, that's why I keep calling this guy Tate, because his real name in life is Tate Donovan. Um, because he knows what happened, because it becomes very clear that we know where Audrey was at the end, and if he loves Audrey and nursed her back to health, I said this to you last week, Audrey was in pretty bad shape the last time we saw her, and Heller, the president, for whatever it's worth, even though it wasn't completely Jack's fault, blamed Jack Bauer. So it's safe to say that a lot of that just transcended right onto Mark Bordeaux. So he forges the signatures, and it makes me think a couple other moments with him this episode where he's arguing with the president about going through all this and doing all this. It really, really, if I didn't think so before, there's two people on this show that are my number one and number two draft picks for Rats, working for the family Stark, working for House Tully over there, and that's this guy and Navarro. I think the head of CIA is either just a complete royal dickhead and an idiot, or he's working for some bad guys. And this guy, Mark Bordeaux, is just a little bit too pushy with the president of just trying to get them to get the hell out of there, because it seems like he really doesn't want this all to work, not just because he's protecting the president. It seems like he has a complete other agenda going on. But I could just be reading into this. This could just be the Jack Bauer. Like
No. There's definitely something more. Catelyn Stark there has more information and more people than we know about.
Exactly.
She can't. She's been working on for a long time. She has to know that. I just got a feeling that you're right. There's going to be someone else that she's working with that's high up with the president that we've already met.
Right, exactly, and it seems like this guy's the number one obvious possibility, because it's not going to be Audrey. It's not going to be this other guy that we hardly know that's his underling. I mean, maybe it would be. And the same with the CIA thing. I think our most obvious choice is, especially in this episode, with how daft he was and some of the things he was saying to Kate when she was trying to handle business about Bauer, because all he cares about is capturing Bauer. He doesn't care about anything else. So finally, Chloe finds out who our main villain is. We're still going to call her Catelyn Stark, but her name is Margot El-Harazi, and Interpol find all the information. She's a wife. The person that Jack was chasing is her daughter. Her husband was killed. Catelyn's husband was killed by having his head chopped off in by a random attack by one of these type of drones that she's fighting against right now, which could kind of complete the whole thought of why she wants to kill the president, because it happened 10 years ago, or happened at the period of time when Heller was the Secretary of Defense, so he is responsible for this whole situation. So it's similar again to Season 1, where the main villain of Season 1 is attacking David Palmer and Jack Bauer because they were the people responsible for the attack that killed his family. So, which I believe is Dennis Hopper in Season 1. So this seems to be, again, another very specific 24 thing. So this is where we go back to our WikiLeaks group, and they said they're going to head back there, and then we go back to Lady Stark and her daughter talking about how Bauer was chasing her. She wants to know how Bauer knew where she was, how he found her, like how is this guy so connected? And Mom takes the package, and she's all excited. She's gonna be able to blow up some people. Winter's definitely coming, and nuclear winter's coming. And this is here where we meet her whole team, the whole bad guy team. There's a computer hacker guy who's her brother, who I get a feeling's going to be completely dead by the end of the season. There's also he needs a password. He needs to hack the password and do some techno babble to get into there. And basically, her husband comes in this situation, and she's welcoming the husband, but the husband's really apprehensive of her. And Catelyn Stark sends her out of the room to go take care of a wound that she has, the wound that she cut herself. And she talks to the husband, and she goes, you look like you got to take a shit, and you didn't say. I forget exactly what she said, but she looks like you got some squirrels in your pants or something. I forget what she says. It's pretty funny stuff. And the guy's just like kind of plays it off like he's upset that she was having to have sex with this heroin addict for the last couple of months. And how pissed off is. And she's like, listen, Ned let me have sex with anybody I wanted before he blew up.
Because like, I knew and he knew that it was what needed to be done.
Exactly, what needed to be done. So after this scene, we learn a little bit more about Catelyn and we learn about their setup. Again, this is a question that I got to credit to Josh Wigler from post-show recaps of this question. What is this other guy's job? What is her husband's job? He seems so useless. He's sitting there. He's like, what, is he the guy to freak out? You know, is he the guy that they all elected to be dead?
You know, he's the guy that's going to affix some sort of, you know, chemical weapons to these drones or something.
Maybe he's a scientist or something.
Too, like they already got. Maybe he's the one that's going to know how to pilot these things. But
possibly
now that what's his name's dead.
But now we have the computer guy. We see that she probably was going to kill Yates the whole time because we find out that. They had she has her son, Catelyn Stark, Bran Stark over there, that is a computer hacker guy. So, anyways, we'll figure out where that goes in time. Truth be told, that guy's dead by next episode anyway.
Or within a few episodes.
Within a few episodes, he's either dead or at the CIA office testifying against Catelyn Stark. So we go back to the WikiLeaks guy, and they tell him that Jack is dead. I forget what's this guy's name. What's the head of the
Robin Hood?
Robin Hood. What the hell is this guy's name?
The Crow.
Adrian Cross, the Crow. That's where I know him from. He's the villain of the Crow. Adrian Cross. Great voice. I like this actor.
He was also played the manager for the Doors band in the Doors movie with Val Kilmer.
Really? And Johnny Drama makes an appearance. Johnny Drama plays the Doors drummer in that. But anyway, sorry, Entourage. Entourage movie coming. Yeah, I'm the only one that cares. I'm the one. I'm the one that cares. So we go back to this guy, and we find out he kind of tells him all about Yates being killed, and they need his help. Jack pulls out a gun. He needs his help to find where the root of all these problems are. They know that the plane was hijacked. They need to prove Tanner's innocence. Tanner is our Jedi Knight, and he wants to deliver the proof to Heller himself so he can figure out and try to handle this mess. And we get a really funny line from our bad guy here, from Adrian Cross, where he goes, "Jack Bauer, you have a funny habit of always asking favors with a gun pointing in someone's face. You want to try not to do that."
That's not a favor.
That's not a favor. That's forcing someone to do something. And Jack kind of thinks about it for a second and goes, you know what? Maybe I am like that. And really, like a wise ass in the most passive-aggressive way possible, goes, "Excuse me, Adrian. Could you please help me get some false identification and help me get into the Parliament to present this evidence to President Heller? Please."
So I like, not only are they able to hack into the system to find out what these IDs look like, where the magnetic strips are placed, and whether or not they're, infrared ID or radio frequency ID, rather, all these things. They make this ID that looks perfect. In this, like, really, they have the ID printing. They can just print any ID they want from in this. That equipment is like, what? Huh?
I think they took over a copy cop center, and that's where they put the base of operations for the bad guy headquarters.
Like, it just seems. I mean, I know that part of their business is probably making fake IDs for like 12-year-olds in whatever part of London they're in, but still, this is like a embassy ID. I thought it was a little strange.
It was a little strange. It was a little convenient. And we already talked about this next scene. This is when we go back to Basher and Kate and Ritter torturing or sending him to the other gangland and finding the information. Basically, they find out the same information that Jack has found out, that Tanner was set up and that this was all just a case. And they're heading to Parliament, where Tanner's being brought to talk to him as well. So Jack and the CIA agents are all heading to the same place. I forgot to mention. This happens later. So we go to the daughter. I have her name written down here somewhere, but I like calling her Sansa. What's her name again? Margot. Oh no, Margot. That's our main villain. Our main person is Simone. Simone is her name. So Simone is getting her. So now that we've proven that we know her name, Sansa is getting her leg tended to by her mother, by Catelyn, and by Margot Catelyn, and she basically says, "Good job, smart job, convincing the Americans, getting away from the American. You did a smart plan here," and then she just kind of reminds her that this is a very serious plan. There are no screw ups. Anything happens to screw up, you handle it. And at the same time, she's like almost torturing her a little bit with the scissors as she's like, or pulling the stitches too hard and like causing her all this kind of pain and just making sure she knows that if anything goes wrong, like she has no problem killing her daughter. I think that was what was coming across here. If you screw up, I have absolutely zero problem killing you.
And it goes right along with what she said before in the previous scene she was in. My husband knew that she would do what needed to be done.
Exactly, no matter what. And if that means kill one of our daughters or one of our kids, amen. So we already talked about this scene as well. We get Kate and Ritter trying to piece it all together. He admits she's sharp enough to get Basher to admit what's going on, and sharp enough to find Jack Bauer, and how the hell did you do that? We already mentioned that. But at the same time, it's important to say Navarro calls, and Navarro's like, "Where are you guys? What are you doing? Get back here!" Blah 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 blah. And Ritter or Kate and Ritter come up with a very.
Isn't he also like, did you seriously torture a British national?
Yeah, that's what she said. And she goes
in torture.
And she plays to this guy's complete insecurities and realizes, and this is where Kate's awesome in proving herself as probably young Jack Bauer, like one of the best agents we've seen working this type of job. She says to him exactly what he wants to hear. "Oh, I'm on the trail of Jack Bauer."
Yep.
I can't. Sorry about that. We need to get Jack Bauer.
Easter egg for you, sir.
Exactly. And he's like, "Oh, okay, Jack Bauer. What? Oh, okay, that's fine. And right around this time, we see Tanner arriving, and there's like a riot of people ready to just rip him up, like a riot of English citizens that just want to.
They want to get at the president. They want to get at the president. They
also want to get at this guy. They also want to get at this agent, this soldier. This soldier, which I don't know if this would happen. Maybe if the culture of the world's different. This was 24.
Oh yeah, it would absolutely happen. Look at all the worldwide protests over Benghazi.
No, it's true. It's true.
In the cartoon of the Muslim that from the Dutch people that put out that of Muhammad, like people get upset. People like storm embassies and riot and we do it in this country too for convicted murderers and stuff. So
you're absolutely right. So we go to the president and Audrey watching the news. We find out, basically, we hear a little voiceover where it basically talks about how the English people want blood. They want the president's blood. She kind of tries to talk him out of it, but he gives a really good speech about how he's doing what's best, and even if he loses his mind, it's worth it. He's not going to leave this area till everything's all set up. He's worked too hard to set up these drones, and he's not going to let it fall apart just because of some hinky bullshit. And she loves her daddy, and I think she also believes him, because I feel like his instincts are correct. I mean, as we see in a few minutes here, how Parliament actually ends up being, we knew it was going to be horrible, but I think he did the right thing by doing this. It shows culpability, even if he didn't get it across. I think that's just how Parliament works. They just yell shit at people, and then afterwards they'll buy you a drink and take you down to the pub.
I kind of thought it was a little weak, the Parliament scene.
We'll get to it in a second.
Everybody walks in, everybody's quiet, one person yells something, and then one other person yells something. Parliament, I mean, they're really affording our president respect that they don't even show their own president, which I guess is understandable, but still, everybody would have been up and yelling something at this guy right after the first guy opened his mouth.
Yeah, right after he opened the door and walked in.
Right.
So we're at the riot,
and ballyhoos and stuff.
And Jack and Chloe arrive there to try to talk to Tanner, or Jack arrives there with Chloe in his earpiece, and Kate and Ritter are on their way there too, getting ready to, because they know they're looking for the same person. They're looking to get in touch with. Yeah, they want to interrogate Tanner as well. So Jack's waiting at the embassy as the computer girl that we were talking about earlier the cute one is working with Adrian Croft. That's the name, right? Adrian Croft. I keep forgetting this guy's name. Cross, the crow, Cross, not Croft, Crow. And he basically whispers down to her, screw up Jack's information. You know how his card's supposed to scan Leeloo Dallas multipass?
ID. He really fucks Jack Bauer over at this point.
Yeah, he shows himself to be a wicked asshole here. I was pissed at him. I was like, what are you doing this to Jack Bauer? This isn't fair. You don't do this.
And here's the thing. When Jack Bauer kicked in his door and came in, he was all ready to have everybody pack up and bug the fuck out and get out of there. He double crosses Jack at this point, and Chloe is kind of noticing something's fishy going on, and eventually calls it. But the guy never says, pack up your shit and get out of here. Jack Bauer's going to come back and kill us all.
Yeah, because I think he thinks that Chloe's like he can hold Chloe in front of him and go, hey, don't shoot me, I got Chloe, don't shoot me, I got Chloe. Yeah, no. That's why I think that this guy has more going on than he's saying, too. This guy might be working for the bad guys.
I think he's in on it. I mean, Voight was
my number
this
3
guy before Voight left there.
Exactly, I agree.
Catlin, so.
I think this guy's a little hinky. This guy might be more connected than we think. I agree. And he basically tells the girl not to give Chloe the information, and we cut to a commercial break with some serious tension right there, where it looks like Jack's about to go up to the front counter and get busted. And so we go to the daughter and the husband. We kind of talked about this. He's trying to deal with all the situation. We think that it's about that she had to have sex with this other guy, but we soon find out that it's not. He's really upset about his role in all of this. He thought he was okay with it.
He's drinking too. And she says,
yeah. Oh, why are you drinking? Yeah.
Be drinking. Mummy will be very upset at you.
Exactly.
She found out.
So apparently Catelyn doesn't approve of drinking, especially now because everyone needs to stay so clear-minded in the plan.
Right, and that's kind of what I figured about it too. And I think there might be a little bit more. I think maybe it might be a religious thing also.
Possibly. It could just be like there's no drinking in it. But if there was no drinking in the house, then there wouldn't be alcohol in the house.
It was hidden in his bureau underneath some shirts, and the cup was too.
Okay, so he was doing the alcoholic hiding thing.
Like he's hiding a cup and the bottle rather than just pulling out the bottle and taking a swig. He's got to like make himself a drink and then walk across the room with this. Like if it needs to be hidden, kid, you don't walk around your room with a drink where Catelyn Stark can walk in on you at any moment and kill you for it.
Exactly. You hide that a lot better. Obviously, you've never hidden porn in your room or hidden the marijuana from your parents when you're 16 years old. I mean, you need to hide things a little bit better than that.
You don't have a 12-foot glass bong.
Yeah.
When you're hiding this shit from your parents.
So basically, in all this situation, he says, "I can't deal with the killing and the murder. I'm having nightmares. I can't. I know I agree to all of this, but this is too much. This is too much." And she goes, I felt bad too. You get a feeling she's a little bit more warmer than her mother. This is just the life she's known. And she's like, listen, I felt bad before I killed my first person too, but it becomes easy. We're doing it for the right cause. We're working for the right cause. Trust me. Come here. Let me have sex with you. So then she does him, and they have sex for like a minute because he gets really excited.
That Catelyn Stark is actually watching from a closed-circuit TV camera in the room somewhere.
Exactly. So she heard everything he said. So this was
why we're drinking.
Including the drinking. So this guy is so dead. This guy is so freaking dead.
Well, and that might also be what he's thinking too. Now, yeah, he's married to this girl, but he hears a speech from the mother about how, I used to sleep with other men because I had to, because my husband knew that it was what needed to be done. Then he hears it from his wife that, oh yeah, I went out and I slept with this other guy because it was what needed to be done. And that after hearing that from both of their mouths, you have to be sitting there or lying there underneath this woman saying, am I just what needs to be done? Keep me focused, keep doing me until I do what needs to be done, and then I'm just as disposable.
That's why I wondered what his job was. There's I thought about that too. That's why I'm curious what he's got to have some sort of important position in this whole plan. Otherwise, why would he even have been brought in? Why wouldn't he just been left at home? I know she's his husband, but you know what I'm saying. Like the daughter just been like going away for a couple months for work, be back. I mean, he needs to have some sort of rational reason for being involved in all of this, and I'm sure that will come up. Maybe it's to die, maybe it's to be the one that rats them all out. But I mean, who knows? Maybe Catelyn will kill him, and then the daughter will rat them out. I mean, who knows how this will work? Because I got the feeling, that the daughter at least really loved this guy. She wasn't pretending to care. Whether he realizes it or not, the daughter cares about this guy a lot. And we'll see. She doesn't want Catelyn to kill her, and Catelyn's watching this whole
We don't
situation.
know that the daughter cares about this guy a lot.
I got a feeling
saw
though.
her caring a lot about this other
Yeah,
dude.
but in fairness, she was playing like a ditzy, ridiculous character.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at now is she still just not playing?
No, maybe she is, but a lot of times, sometimes when, and you see this a lot in movies, whether if a character has a superpower, or in a cartoon when, say, like, the Martian Manhunter has the power to, like, change shape, and he lives a big percentage of his life with somebody else as a lie because he wants to live the normal life. At least the vibe I got, I could be completely wrong, is that maybe she is lying, and this isn't really who she is, but she likes that person she is when she's with him. It's like I keep talking about Heroes today because I've been doing a rewatch of Heroes. When Siler decides to like live with Veronica Mars there for a while because he knows it's not really him, but he really wants it to be him and he really cares about her. That doesn't mean he's not going to eventually slice her head open and take the Pikachu power, but it's going to be a while before she does it. And I think it's the same thing with this girl. Like, she will kill him. You know, she would kill him for months.
She's a sociopath. She's sleeping with one guy. She kills him. She's sleeping with him. You know, like she's definitely a sociopath, and sociopaths, they don't love, dude. They just don't love. Maybe she loves the feelings that she gets from him, and how, like you said, how she feels when she's around him or playing house, but she doesn't love him.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. She doesn't. If we're it depends how we're defining love. If we're defining love as the real thing of like what we both know and like the reality of love.
You don't ask the person you love to go murder 1,000 people and possibly die in the process.
But if we're talking about TV, I agree with you. But in TV love, she loves him. That's exactly what you do. In action movie love, that's exactly what you do with the people you love.
That's true, I guess. Yeah.
So after this point, we get to our last big scene, and Chloe. I forget exactly when that happens, but basically before this all, Chloe is starting. Joe said that is starting to figure out that this is all bullshit. That double cross Jack. So we go to Prime Minister Stephen Fry and meeting the president, and he's basically saying the same thing that Bordeaux is saying. You sure you want to do this? Parliament's pretty surly today. They haven't had their morning cocktail. They're feeling pretty angry. Are you sure you want to face them? And we get Bordeaux and Audrey talking, and them interacting about how she didn't talk the president out of it. And this was the biggest scene. I thought that Mark was a rat, even more than earlier, because he's just like pissed at her, like, no, you don't get it. You don't get it. He shouldn't be here. You don't get it. And it wasn't because of his health. He seemed to be pissed that.
You're talking about when they're walking out of the getting out of the car.
When they're walking out of the car.
She also totally that's not the time to start. You're so controlling. You're trying to control me. You're trying to control him. Blah. Really?
Don't you hate it when people
start a personal fight, a relationship fight on the way into frickin' Parliament, where your father's about to give one of the most trying speeches of his career?
It's true. It's like you don't start arguments in public settings. I wouldn't be like, Joe, remember when we were 16 years old and you left me on the side of the road and didn't pick me up? Remember that, Joe? Fuck you here, man. Come on. Like, right. In the middle of the podcast, we're not going to, like, bring that up. You know, I'm not going to bring up, like, random shit that starting a fight in a public setting. I see what you're saying there. But, like, people in the show's defense of that, that's more of a some people do that. I've been in relationships or with friends that they just find women, they find the specific wrong time to thank God 65% of our audience is male. They
just lost them all.
Yeah, we just lost the last 35% of women.
All the girls who are in it for your good looks, I just totally
I'm sure my good looks. But I'm sure, but in realism, this happens with both people. Like guys do this stuff too. There's just certain people that are completely off point with when they bring things up. You're heading into a birthday party of your best friend or something. You're walking into a big public setting and suddenly they tell you, I always hated the way you do X, Y, and Z, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Breathe in the way you walk.
Yeah, and then you walk in, you have to pretend to be nice because you don't want to start a scene, because you don't want to be that couple that starts a scene in public.
Yeah.
So the president goes up and gives a speech, and he starts to say something, and right when the first word comes out of his mouth, he is cut off, and they start yelling at him and screaming at him and doing all the things like murderer, blah 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 blah, and regular day going on there in Parliament. I agree with Joe that if this was real life, it would have been even worse than that. That was actually that actually went pretty well. The president didn't have to talk. He didn't have to didn't lose any ground, and Parliament was nice for them. Pretty nice for them. So we go to Kate and Ritter approaching the scene as Jack is waiting in line. He gets to the front of the line. And he presents the pass. As the CIA is approaching, the guys, the Secret Service or whoever the guys check, the Parliament Secret Service is checking his ID. And notices that there's some inaccuracies. It doesn't quite match the computers, and they're like, "Wait a second."
Yeah, the ID number on the electric swipe is not the same as the ID on the front of the badge. It's not matching up with the right name, and they put it in their little computer, which is another thing. Like, really, they knew which way the magnetic strip go. I mean, they hack, so they must know.
Yeah, they must know.
But still.
And at the same point in time, we see Chloe starting to be a little confused of what's going on. She says to Adrian Cross,
"Why isn't it working?
Why isn't it working?" He's like, "No." He's like, "No, we're all set. We're all set," with his little smirk, little shit-eating grin. He's like, "Don't worry. It's all good. It's all good. Jack will be fine." But Chloe's starting to get all the old senses are starting to come back to Chloe, and Chloe doesn't buy this. And
this is such a 24 moment from what I remember. At the CTU, all the long looks, like this person staring at that person while the mission's going on, and that person looking over their shoulder at this other person. Who's fucking Jack Bauer over? Why is this happening? Like all those little looks from across the room. I remember that about 24, and that's what was going on here. It was very classic 24 scene.
And Chloe gets on the phone with Jack and goes, "Listen, get the hell out of there. You're in trouble. Get the hell out of there." And I want to mention something because Kate and Ritter are chasing after him at the time. If Kate's our Jack Bauer, Ritter, last week when I thought he was maybe like a real asshole and just someone that was like going after Kate's job, I really get more of a feeling this week that he's more of the Tony Almeida and the more of another agent that ultimately looks up to the way Jack Bauer works or looks up to the way Kate works because he can't quite do that and get away with it. Like, how the hell, like almost like your big brother, how can my brother do a triple dive off a board and I just can do a belly flop? He's just kind of giving her that look of really looking up to her. I just feel like that's important that they're setting up Ritter, at least in my feeling, to be sort of Kate's Tony Almeida. So Jack runs away from being in line, and then we get probably my favorite part of the episode.
He doesn't just run away, he starts shooting people.
No, that's what I said. This is my favorite part of the episode. He takes off his jacket, takes off all his stuff, he starts walking away. Takes his coat, throws his coat over somebody's head, punches him in the gut, pulls out his guns, shoots a few people, random civilians in the kneecaps, and yells, "They're shooting at us! They're shooting at us!" Which creates a complete riot and has them just charge the gate. And just at this point, Kate Morgan and Ritter can see Jack, and they're coming after him, but he just sneaks into the crowd. Great genius move by Jack Bauer here. And Jack just slips his way in, and they chase after him. And the last shot we have is of Kate and Ritter walking after Jack after Jack's already gone in there and figured a way in. And
she also yells his name, Jack Bauer, and he stops and looks over his shoulder for him.
Because I think, it goes to something from last week, how the hell did you find me? Like, how the hell do you know where the hell I'm going? How the hell do you know any of this? So
even still, like, he should have just a trained agent. He needs to stop and look over his shoulder. No, you keep your head down. You keep moving.
And that goes to our whole Jack Bauer thing. Like even in Jack Bauer's phony ID, it just looks like Jack Bauer. It's like a picture. He's like wearing "I am Jack Bauer" T-shirt and stuff. Oh God. Well, this was this episode's of 24 post-episode recap, post-episode issues. What we're looking forward to next week is I hope by next week we get Jack Bauer torturing someone. I think that's the biggest thing we've been missing so far. We need a Jack Bauer torture scene. And
I would like to see one of our main characters get killed.
It's going to happen.
It's only been 3 hours. It's only been 2 episodes. But I would like to see someone in that hacker room die. I would like to see someone at the CIA die. I
get a feeling that the main character I get the death feeling from this season is President Heller. When he said something along the lines in this episode of, I don't think I will not leave here alive if I don't get this job done. It made me think that he's not leaving there alive at all. And we're trying really hard in this episode of the 24 recap because we've read the books, so we don't want to spoil anything with what we're saying. But it is interesting. It's fun to be able to do speculation again without having to worry about your speculation and worry about, wait, I can't say that. We get a lot of fun comments in the Game of Thrones episodes this week. So everyone, this is post-episode issues. I'm Phil the Issues Guy. If you made it this far, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Comment, do all that stuff. You can follow us on Twitter at IGotIssuesMan and at Dirty Locks down there. Check out the website, issuesprogram.com. You can see all our new news articles, video game reviews, TV reviews, lots of fun stuff. Next week or in a week from now, a couple weeks from now, we're going to be going to Pop Culture Expo here in Wilmington, Mass. We wrote a couple of, Joe has a preview story, and I have an interview with the founder. You can check that out on the website, issuesprogram.com. Please check out all that. We will be back next week. Oh, and if you haven't already, please check out our Game of Thrones episode recap from this week. Lots of crazy stuff happened over there in Westeros that goes pretty much hand in hand with this 24 stuff, considering Catelyn Stark's over there. So we have a little bit of a connection here. So make sure if you like 24 and you can dig on fantasy at all, check out Game of Thrones. You might like that as well. Joe, thank you very much for joining me today, and
thank you for having me.
Sorry to Jack Bauer torture you to make you watch some 24.
Well, I'll watch anything. I enjoy this so much. Like
I feel like I do have to say one thing to connect to something I said last week. Just one little caveat. Last week I said something about the creators of 24 working on a certain show, and I believe I forgot the show I said, but I don't think I said the right one. The creator of 24 has also worked on the show Homeland, which I've never seen Homeland. Okay, is Homeland about Britain? Is it about like is it CIA stuff in Britain, or is it located in the United States?
It's United States terrorist stuff.
Okay, terrorist.
Middle East stuff.
This is worth saying that I read an interview, or I heard some interview with Kiefer Sutherland, where in the Homeland creator, who's also 24 creator, one of them, and when Kiefer Sutherland first read the script, he presented, I wrote a new script. He presented to Kiefer Sutherland. He goes, you want me to be in a season of Homefront? And he said, no, Kiefer Sutherland.
Homefront is different than Homeland.
Okay, that's what I was saying. I think it's Homefront. I'm pretty sure it's Home. It might be Homeland, though. It might be Homeland. I will find that information for a fact next week. I'm confused between both these shows. I didn't know that there was two different ones. I think it's Homeland, actually.
I think Homefront is about the wives of soldiers who are away.
Okay, it's definitely not that. It's definitely not that. Then it's Homeland. And Kiefer Sutherland said, you want me to be in a season of Homeland? And they were like, no, this is 24, Kiefer. This is 24. Trust me. It gets pretty 24-ish later. So we'll see how this season
I thought it was weird you weren't calling Claire Danes by the right name.
Okay. Anyways, guys, we will be back next time. Thank you ever much. Thank you ever much. Thank you ever much for your support.
Much works.
Yeah, thank you guys all for your support and subscribes and likes and views. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Talk to you next time.